Om. 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 Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. So yesterday we were doing verse number 8, which is Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata. That was verse 7. Abhyutthanam Dharmasya Tadatmanam Srijamyaham. And then why does he take birth? Why does he take as though the body is paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So this was the verse number 8. So for the protection of those who are committed to dharma and the conversion of those who follow adharma, and for the establishment of dharma, I come into being in every yuga. Why does an avatara come? It is not to enjoy punya papa, because these do not apply to an avatara. Nor does an avatara come to suffer the life of a samsari. So we saw that it is not vyavaharika satya, neither is it paramarthika satya. An avatara comes for a threefold purpose. First, he protects the people who are committed to a life of dharma, paritranaya sadhuna. If they are protected, then dharma is protected. This protection is carried out in many ways, one of which is chastising those who do things that are not in keeping with dharma. Vinashaya dushkritam. The word vinashaya means for the sake of destruction of those who follow adharma. Here, the word destruction is more in the sense of conversion of those who follow adharma to the path of dharma. This is the second reason for the avatara to come. In either case, his real task is to establish, or perhaps more appropriately, re-establish dharma. Dharma samsthapanarthaya. This is the third but real reason for the advent of an avatara. How can dharma be re-established? And how can the order dharma be re-established? By making the people live in accordance with it. This is all that can be done. There is no other way of establishing dharma, because this is not properly understood. People establish institutions of dharma, huge organizations, large buildings, and so on. Just one second. But even if you create a building for dharma that is bigger than the largest building on the earth, those who do not follow dharma will destroy the very building itself. and make sure that all efforts to restore it are also destroyed. All religious organizations begin with the intention of establishing dharma, but eventually many of them become adharmic. Institutions do not establish dharma, people do. How? Only by living a life of dharma can dharma be established and protected. How can dharma be protected any other way? To understand this better, let us look at scholarship and how it is protected. So, for free will um, and living a life of dharma, the example of the football match was given. Like how it is important to have dharma in order to pursue moksha. Right? So now here we're seeing how people are required to follow dharma. And to understand that, there is this example of scholarship. Can scholarship be protected by protecting libraries? Libraries are protected only when there are scholars to use them. They are meant for scholars. Only when the scholars are encouraged is scholarship protected. Scholars can be encouraged by creating an atmosphere conducive for scholarship. Then there is an infrastructure, a value for scholarship. You can convert this scholarship into, say, education. You can't just protect education by protecting libraries. You need to educate people. Without educating people, how can you protect education? Right? So education does not remain in books. It is in translating what is there in the books to and giving it to people. For example, if teachers are the lowest paid people in society, as they frequently are, they will naturally be attracted to other vocations. So it's like a dump yard, dump ground career. So if you don't get a job anywhere else, then you become a teacher. Why should a professor who earns $30,000 a year stay at a university when he or she can make twice as much elsewhere and even more on the side? California's Silicon Valley has attracted many university professors this way. If incomes in the universities were comparable to those elsewhere, those who have a value for study and teaching would stay in the universities. But this does not happen when the gap in earnings is too large. It is true that the people who have a real love for teaching, for study, and the leisure to do so will stay. But it must also be recognized that many of those who remain may be doing so for little more than the extended holidays that the academic year permits. When the atmosphere encourages scholars, everyone will become a scholar, or at least make the attempt, and scholarship will be protected. Similarly, dharma is protected when there is an infrastructure conducive to following it, meaning that the dharmis, those who follow dharma, are protected. To protect dharma, nothing else can be done. We have this line that says, Dharmo rakshati rakshita. So dharma protects those who protect it. Here, in order to protect dharma, you require to protect the dharmis. The protection of dharma comes through various forms, through music and the other performing arts, through the fine arts and various other human expressions. Therefore, you encourage only those institutions, meaning customs, culture, and so on, that are rooted in dharma. The cultural institutions, for example, have a certain bearing on dharma and therefore are to be supported. All of these become the means for protecting dharma. So to protect the culture of a region, you have to protect the tradition, the culture, arts. It is only when the people who follow dharma are not protected that you find everything goes punk, not just the music. Because all aspects of living are so intricately connected, dharma just goes if the people who follow it are not protected. I'm just thinking aloud, just with the advent of the British invasion, there's so many invaders who invaded India. If our arts and culture were not protected, these multiple invasions would have completely wiped out our culture in the form of Hindustani music, Carnatic music, but they still remain despite all these invasions. It's only because the people who were singing, the singers were kind of protected by the local people, by the encouragement. If not, they would have been dead and gone long back. There are people, clans of musicians who pass this down from generation to generation. Just like how Sanatana Dharma has been kept alive. And that goes with the same everything. For example, cooking, cuisines. We would not know what our great great grandfathers and grandmothers ate if that if those recipes had not been handed down. If people took to westernization, we would only have pizzas and burgers all over. But the very fact that we still have all our traditional cooking still running in families is because people followed them. There was a value for that. So therefore, customs, culture, all of this. So dharma is not just about universal values. It is much more than that. So therefore, protection of dharma comes through various forms, through music and the other performing arts, through fine arts and various other human expressions. I mean, from morning till night, if you just look at what a human being goes through, right from the time of our customs, like South India, and I know it's not as much as in North India, but in South India, we have this custom of inviting deities within the house, into the house, by putting rangoli outside, washing, cleaning up. Till today, my mother does it. She has a maid who does it, who comes, a house help that comes. But in case the house help doesn't turn up, at her age, 80 plus, she does it herself because that's become part of the culture. And if she does not do it, she feels incomplete. She feels that pinch. It's a simple thing, but it's a handed down. It's a culture that is handed down, right? Same thing. One of our cultures in India is Atiti Devo Bhava. And a person who comes unannounced is considered Lord Vishnu himself, Vishnu or Lakshmi, whoever, right? So Whereas this is not the case in the Western world. You have to take an appointment prior, find out, and I come, and then you come. But look at how beautiful the culture in India is. An uninvited guest is considered as Lord Himself. So if we do not follow that, dharma is lost. Whereas, so here, what Bhagavan is saying is, paritranaya sadhuna, to protect the dharmis and to convert the adharmis to make them fall in line with dharma. He takes birth. So it is only when the people who follow dharma are not protected that you will find everything goes punk, not just the music. Because all aspects of living are so intricately connected. Dharma just goes if the people who follow it are not protected. And taking it a little further down is about simple things like our nitya karma, lighting a lamp morning and evening at home. People can argue, can say, oh, why are you wasting so much? You're increasing carbon footprint. There's so much of smoke coming up. So many logical arguments can come up. And then when Buddhism became rampant, people stopped doing what they were doing. They stopped all their daily prayers. They thought only meditation was the key. So Adi Shankaracharya had to come and revive the whole ritualism. Ritualism was gone. We think ritualism is not right, but there are so many um, advantages embedded in the ritualism. Because if you're doing those rituals, at least at that time that you're doing it, you're not engaged in doing anything adharmic. At least you're doing that, right? So people are culture and religion. Therefore, protection of dharma implies the protection of culture, religion, and so on. But there is no culture or religion apart from people. Just give me a second. If anybody wants to share, please go ahead.
As simple as lighting the lamp, it just creates a sort of an energy in the house, positive energy. Like if you use ghee lamp, and also gingerly oil, all these things. There's so much of impact it has.
Unfortunately, in the US and elsewhere, because of these smoke detectors, nobody even lights a lamp.
That's why their homes are not having that sort of energy.
You can do it, but it be like not like many lamps. Like one little lamp shouldn't be causing any problem. I still do, like at least once a day. I do the light lamp. But as you know, our houses are made of like wood and all these things, which is easily combustible.
Correct.
So you'd be a little bit careful and mindful about you had it. Normally we have it for a few hours and then turn it
Put
down.
it off.
And then you can do however you want it. Of course, when you have a little kids, you have to be you cannot do such things because they don't know, right? Even my grandson, my daughter used to have all the lamps and everything, but he wasn't very careful about it. So then she put away all of the lamps. I tell her at least put one electric light or something near garden, things like that. So I know depending on in our house, of course we are all grown ups and we don't have a problem. But given the situation, do what is possible, right? Like, that sloka, that whatever you give with that bhakti, right? With pushpam or palam or something, that lighting diva is one of them, but we can do without it also. That's prayer and do it. That that really helps.
No doubt, completely agree with you that
Yeah,
given the
but like,
circumstances,
yeah,
that
yeah.
it is difficult. But what I'm saying is,
Mm,
if this tradition is given up, if it's not done,
right.
then it is lost to the future generations. The only
True.
way we can protect it is by following culture, by following
Right.
tradition, following the customs. So there is, see, how is a culture, how is a
Because
civilization?
we have to keep doing it. Otherwise, our
Exactly.
future generation, at least my grandchildren, they're seeing it, right? So hopefully when they grow up, they'll do it. Like
Mm,
myself, I consider myself, I seen my grandmother used to chant and do puja and narrate. We never been taught like slokas when we were little. When they were chanting, we listen and we learn that. And
mm,
and we still today, oh, my grandmother did Vaiganda Ekadashi. We wanted to go and see the Sargavasul, and we did Arudra Darshanam. We went to the temple. We did this ritual and that. I remember all that. So, naturally it comes to you, without them telling you. You start doing puja and through prayers, and every Friday, not, you were saying about doing rangoli, and that is a regular thing. When I used to do when I was a little kid, and then on Fridays, every doorstep we have to wash them and then put the turmeric and kumkum for every doorstep, like the front, back, and front, and then the tulasi pot and everything. So it's like Friday is big thing, like you have to wash all the house, like floors and everything, and do the deepas, and we have so many things to do. But it was not a, we never thought it was a big job to do. It's something like a routine stuff like that happens. Since we had that kind of training, so I bring that to my kids also. They do the prayers and at least do some festivals and do the tidis for my uh, grandparents or my parents and stuff like that. So I invite them for having dinner or lunch with us and do the prayer and all that. So at least that tradition is being followed, So they passed on. We pass it on to them. At least they'll remember us doing it. That's what I
very nice.
want.
So
Yeah,
the thing is, see, a sannyasi is exempt from doing all of this.
karma,
To the
right?
exclusion of pursuing knowledge, he
Mm,
is he is exempt from, he's relieved from doing all these things.
right.
But unfortunately, what we have taken, because of
Mm,
convenience, because of circumstances, we
mm,
have, we kind of sometimes forced to, we might need to, like your intention is really there for you to do all of this, but certain things you can't because
right.
of the situation. But
Mm,
what is happening is we have, out of convenience and out of lack of commitment, we have very conveniently taken on sannyasa to so many of this, and with the guise of, you know if you look at it, we've mixed up that sannyasa of
true.
saying,
They
given
go
up
on
this, I've
to,
given up.
yeah,
Why? But
because it's more of like convenience rather
mm,
than, like they take whatever comes, like the Western culture is, think were much better. And if you talk about all these other things, right, the spirituality and stuff, oh, why do you have to go to the temple? Why do you, well, we can do that from here, or
mm,
those kind of things. So you can only, true, what you're saying is like people take the what is convenient rather than I would say more of
Mm.
becoming more and more you think that way and you give up doing it, and then it's not going to be known to the future people, you know.
That is why we look at Gurudev.
Mm,
I used to have this confusion. I said, why? If following, like how Arjuna had the question, if
right.
knowledge is
Mm-hmm.
important, please tell us
Mm-hmm.
one or two things. Why are you giving us so many different things?
Yeah.
And then the homas being done, pujas are being done. So where is the purpose? What is the purpose? So now everything falls in perspective because there are people at different degrees of evolution.
Levels, yeah, of
So once
understanding.
one lady had asked, one working
Mm,
mother had asked, she said,
mm,
I know all this is important, but then I don't have the time to do it. So is it okay for me to skip doing all this? Is it required for me to gain enlightenment, for me to do all of this? And Gurudev said yes and no. He said, if you are enough mature to understand that what is important,
yeah.
then it's not important. But why it is important is for it to be passed down and for you to develop that degree of maturity, that discipline,
Yeah.
that commitment, all that chisels your antakarana. Otherwise, you're just doing free will. Free will requires some responsibility as well. Then it
Yeah.
becomes then it becomes like a river which is flooded, which is runs havoc. It causes only destruction. But when it has banks on either side, it is structured flow. You can utilize this water in so many ways, can be useful.
Right.
Similarly, this commitment, this culture, this tradition, all of this are like putting banks to our free will.
You know,
Utilize it.
I have a question, Dr. Pramada. Even my husband, oh, he asked this question. He is a scientist, right? So he asked everything has to be scientific for him, logic. Oh, why do you have to do this? Why do you have to do that? I mean, we give explanation, but for to the certain extent, unless they have interest in knowing a little bit more about it and they do their own research, then it will make sense, right? I mean, to them. If they don't do such things, I mean, not only him, and I've seen several families, friends, and all that. They don't have much of like, I wouldn't say completely nastikas, but they don't believe in it, and so they don't follow anything specifically like things we have to do. But as a woman, and since we have some background and in, this is good for us, for the family and children and everybody else. Not only pursuing the culture, but it also for our own betterment. So, what do you think? I mean, how do you get these people to understand? Uh, to I mean, you give explanation, but still they go on, keep on arguing about it, and then I said, forget it.
You're talking about the um,
And why you had to do, like, say for example, like you said, like
yeah.
we put the deepa and we do
Mm,
little prayer even every day, right?
mm,
I don't see that, like, my husband, like he is good, but he's not into those kind of things, like, like even getting up and stay in front of your little altar and do the prayer,
mm,
unless that kind of thing. Then what happens to our children, like, oh, okay, whatever you tell, some, my daughter is pretty much, did the dance, and culturally she was also did Bharatanatyam and Carnatic music also. She tuned to it, and so her daughter following, and they are doing it. The same thing with my son, he will do it, he'll go to the temple and all that, but I don't see that kind of, I don't know what to say.
resonance.
Yeah.
reverence or the value, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a beautiful book Swami Vimalananda from Chinmaya
Mm,
Mission wrote. It's
mm.
on why do we?
Why
Why
do
do
we?
we? It's a
Mm,
beautiful booklet. Why
yeah.
do we light a lamp? Why do
Mm,
we the coconut? Why do
mm,
we um, why do we pray? Why do we say a morning prayer? Why do we say an evening prayer?
mm.
All of this is a very beautiful book. Maybe you can check it online. Maybe I
Sure, sure, sure.
next time
That's
maybe
nice.
if I'm able to lay my hands on that, maybe we can
Mm.
just run through that once during the
Yeah,
session.
yeah. Yeah, it'd
So,
be nice,
so
like,
everything is so
mhm,
beautifully explained.
right. Mhm. Yeah, that.
This is was going. I was going to ask, like, how do we
Mm,
satisfy their intellect so that,
Mm,
because logic these days everybody, mostly everybody is educated. So why question comes all the time.
mm,
So I think our part we can play, like knowing why we can know the answer ourselves. Only that much we can do. And when people ask, we should be able to tell them why it should be done. And
mm,
we,
I think only so much we can do. We
mm.
cannot force, especially children and all, we cannot force, I think.
nobody, yeah, that is not especially in this era, nobody can do that. Even if you do that, it will work against you, then it will work for you. So, in my mind, we have certain knowledge and we do explain. It usually it's a good explanation, but still, you argue about going to the temple, why you have to go to the temple. Who can tell you this? I mean, we're not there every day. That interest is not there, so that is what I feel.
So
uh,
going to the temple, I think Swami Vivekananda had given an answer. So I
mm,
think uh, one of the Swamis, if I remember, it's Swami Vivekananda, says
mm,
there is air everywhere.
right.
But when it's hot, why do you why do you put a fan and sit under the fan? Is
Then, yeah.
because you feel it more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Similarly, God is that's what most people argue, right? God is
Mm,
everywhere.
everywhere,
Why do
yeah.
you have to go to the temple? Why do you have to go to the puja room? And why do you have a puja room? It's because that energy there is more palpable.
More powerful,
Feel
yeah,
that.
the vibration. And
That is subtle.
yeah,
No, it's not gross.
yeah.
Just for a gross vision, perception, it is not. We don't feel it.
That's what this problem is. They don't feel those kind of things because you have to go with that intention, right? Like, so you have to enjoy the chanting, learning. The vibration is there. Whether you like it or not. In my opinion, when you go to temple, they chant Rudram. In the other side, they chant Sasnamam or whatnot. When they do that, and then with the bell ringing, all these things, and so much going on in the temple, and also, like you said, that particular Garbhagraha, that where the magnetic, that they have it. That's how it's been built. All the temples are, and they have good vibration sense and everything else. But would
But in
they?
the temple, it is not the deity
Yeah,
which is the thing. There is a mandala underneath the deity.
right,
It's again like it's geometry, it's sacred geometry. And it is that
exactly.
mandala that is what is uh,
Creating the
bringing in that energy there.
electromagnetic. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That field is
Really very
created.
scientific.
Yeah,
There cannot be now everything. Science is now coming to Veda.
yeah.
What Vedas talked about 10,000 years ago is now being validated by science bit by bit. In fact, science is far behind if you ask, you know, the Shastra of Mandala Vatika,
Mm.
science of
That's
Mandala
what I
Vatika
was telling him.
is
Like you,
amazing, is
yeah,
really amazing. So for
right.
these people who have a scientific bent of mind, it's better to let them, you know, at
Explore
least go through
themselves.
this, yeah, explore this really. I mean,
Yeah,
then they will understand the science is far behind.
yeah.
So it's not advanced. In fact, what Vedas talk of is far advanced.
Right.
Vedas
Right.
talked about Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. And just
Mm,
2 years back, three scientists, physicists were given the Nobel Prize for
mm,
discovering that the world is unreal.
right.
So our uh, rishis, ancient, long, long back, had brought up this truth.
Mm,
So
yeah. Mm,
we should take pride in the knowledge that we have.
definitely. Mm,
Mm. So that happens. I mean, it's a gradual process. We cannot push it on them. We cannot force it upon them. Like
but
Brina said, we will have to
yeah,
follow it.
right. On the other hand, when you go to India, every little place you see, they talk about Gita. Every
Mm.
they chant, they do, even all the temples. In Tamil Nadu, especially. I mean, I haven't been other places that much, but all those temples, they have a lot of this satsang type of thing. That goes on, especially in Chennai. A lot of this Shiva temple, which is
But you know,
beautiful.
Dr. Mara, yeah,
Yeah.
go on. Complete what you're saying.
Mm.
Go on. Please go on.
No, no. I just said they have this, yeah, beautiful thing, and it's very meaningful. Like every sloka, not this Gita itself. Like this, I don't know. You know about this person called. She's a Tamil poet. Her name is Avvayar. I don't know you ever read any of that. But she wrote in Tamil only. Very beautiful about Ganesha. Her favorite god is Ganesha, and I will send it to you. Maybe you can. It's in English also. You can see the meaning of it. How nicely she talked about this Atma, moksha. All that. How you can attain moksha and things like that in just one big, 2 pages of sloka in those days. So like that, a lot of people had worked on in their own ways. The saints and rishis and acharyas, all these people. Like when you read about it, and when you go to this temple, all these people who visited the temple, and they had uh, they were trying to spread this Saiva religion and things like that, right? That sampradaya, Vaishnava sampradaya, that some of this acharyas did. Like today, especially today or yesterday was Ramanujar uh, birthday.
Day before yesterday,
Day
22nd, was
22nd. Yeah.
Ramanuja Jayanti. Yeah.
Before that was Shankara, right?
Mm.
Right.
21st was Shankara
Shankara.
Jayanti.
Okay, okay. We did sing that Guru
Mm.
Sutra. That was nice. Thank you. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to take your
No,
time. Yeah.
See, even in India, the people are doing so many things like having this Ganpati festival, but
Mm,
they are doing just commercially. No one has the clue why they are doing. Sometimes it has become political agenda to have big gatherings and all. So the gist, the core of it has been lost. Though they are doing these rituals and all, it's all commercialized, and I think it is opposite to what we wanted. Like every function they organize publicly, it has to have that parting thing. The liquor will be distributed, like even Durga, that Navratri they do in Bengal, and horrible things happen during that time. Even I would say during Ganpati festival, people have not known why we are doing it, but just to commercialize it, plus political hand behind it. So really speaking, people do in India, most of them, I'm not saying everybody, but most of the time it is they don't know why they're doing it. They have lost that core of uh, these festivals.
In fact, what people in India would, the comment was, these
Mm.
things are better done outside of India rather than in India. Like pursuing music, dance, for instance.
Yeah.
When my daughter was enrolled in a dance class and music class, they say, oh, you people are able to at least uphold and follow our culture there
Mm.
much better than in India. That is one comment. I mean, to what you were talking about, in India, all this is being followed. Yeah, but
Mm.
we cannot generalize like that.
Yeah.
Certainly, there are people who are still following. They're
Right.
doing it sincerely. They know the value. It is because of them that it is still continuing. Otherwise, see, all religious organizations begin with the intention of establishing dharma, but eventually many of them become adharmika. Like
True. Because
Mrinal pointed out, if they
yeah.
turn to, it becomes competition, which is the biggest Ganesha. So that all that can, it becomes competition rather than commitment to
The value and
the
yeah,
value
yeah,
of the
value of
faith,
it.
right?
Yeah. Why we celebrating it
And
and
there
all.
Yeah.
is so much of noise and so much of noise pollution. I
Yeah.
mean, where Ganesha pandals and those the processions they take.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole night they will be going on the road with such a big noise and sound with film music. I mean,
Mm.
how it is related? It's just the partying, and then the lot of liquor is flowing there.
They have to
You
have
feel very bad to see that. And
the
when,
rule of the
yeah,
law, they have to have the they have to follow that like that somewhere we read, right, you have to have the some rules even at home.
Mm,
Something has to happen, everyone follows some kind of a rule, then that house will be functioning normally. But
yeah.
then they don't follow that kind of rule, then that the other make things happening. Poor God, he cannot do anything. Oh my God. I mean, I can see what you're saying, that
Yeah.
happens. Yeah. So,
So, what is this? People and culture, people are culture and religion. Therefore, protection of dharma implies the protection of culture, religion, and so on. But there is no culture or religion apart from people. The people alone are religion. No institution is independent of people, especially those institutions connected to dharma. And if within a given structure there are those who do what is not to be done and do not do what is to be done, such people have to be taught, converted. There was a time in Rishikesh when only sadhus lived there. They spent all their time studying the Shastra. When other people came, because they had become disenchanted with the world, they too would begin studying. A man may have decided to become a sadhu because he had lost his wife, his business, or whatever. The choice of becoming a sadhu has always been available in Indian society. And although this man had become a sadhu, he may not have been interested in studying. But finding that everyone else was studying, he too would begin to study. Today, the reverse happens all too often. A sadhu may go to Rishikesh, and those he meets may not be studying. If he starts doing whatever everyone else is doing, he can end up running an ashram or studying the veena. There is nothing wrong with learning music. Music can be used as a kind of sadhana sometimes. It can create devotion, but one should not become a sannyasi to do this. To become a sannyasi and then learn music is not right. But this is what is happening. So prematurely, the person takes to sannyasa. So that is why the sannyas ashrama is meant for those who are enough mature. And that is why Krishna was telling Arjuna time and again, sannyasa is not for you. Because once you take to sannyasa, your commitment is only towards knowledge and nothing else. Other sannyasis learn a few yogasanas and then go to America and open an ashram. Being able to stand on your head for 5 minutes is not a great accomplishment. There is a sadhu in Rishikesh who stands on his head for 2 hours on a rock. What happens to him by performing this asana is not clear, except for the fact that he gets very hungry and eats an enormous number of rotis. This is not to say that asanas are useless. They definitely have a purpose. But the point being made here is that we have heads and we do not use them for the purpose they were intended. Is it time for Ishvara to come again? Someone may well ask, is it time for the Lord to come again in the form of an incarnation? No, the time is not right because this teaching still attracts people. If, however, a teacher of Gita was being constantly stoned and people were being prevented from coming to the classes, then Krishna as Ishvara would come. But as long as people are still able to listen to classes on the Gita, he need not come. If, however, in a place of 100 people, 80 people are given to a life of adharma, the other 20 cannot follow dharma. They can only pray. Then only does Ishvara come. Dharma only needs to be protected when the adharma is rampant, when there is no law and order whatsoever, when there are no ethics, when no one cares about anyone else, when everyone is totally selfish. Under such circumstances, everyone goes for the convenient and does not bother about following dharma properly. Only when there is rank selfishness, adharma, does the protection of dharma become a necessity. When more dharmis, people who follow dharma, are created, the dushkritas, the people who do wrong deeds, change and adharma is destroyed. Whenever an avatara comes, people are converted. They do change. They give up their life of adharma. This is what is meant by the destruction of adharma. Vinashaya cha dushkritam. The adharmis themselves do not have to be destroyed. Only the adharma has to be given up and dharma re-established. Therefore, Krishna says, in every age I am born, Sambhavami yuge yuge. This is not to suggest that there is a rule whereby one incarnation occurs in every yuga. The only rule here is that whenever dharma declines and adharma increases, whenever adharma is rampant everywhere, when there is no way that dharma can survive, then Ishvara assumes a particular form with the purpose of upholding dharma. This form is called an avatara. Having answered Arjuna's question, Krishna continues to talk about himself, his birth, and the truth. So we'll park it here before going on to the next verse. If anyone wants to share, let's do some manana on this before going to the next verse.
Hari Om. Very, very beautiful and profound discussion with how Dr. Mara had put the question and present challenge for every parent and grandparents as well. So very beautiful insights from every angle, and how beautifully Swamiji also has taken the real meaning of dharma right from the example of the football match till the whether they are scholars, without scholars, the scholarship has no value. Same like without devotees, the devas don't have values, or guru without devotees. And how every yuga, or every time, it is not that the whole yuga, every time, whether it is in the form of scriptures, or whether it is in the form of gurus, or whether it is in the form of devotees, Bhagavan has come and rescued the dharma, and for the welfare of the whole universe. I will not say that only for a particular clan or community. So very, very profound discussion, and very, very nice. Dhanyavad to everybody. And even Mrinalji, what she said, that how on in the name of religion, how the these all are like we know that how we can take it ahead so that it doesn't change into nuisance, and rather than that, how it can create an inspiration for the future generation. And my concern as a parent, right now we all are living as a nuclear family. Our kids are not with us. So I initially I was thinking that how my kids will get, but then I realized that when I see every kid as my kid, and then when I pass on the things which I am doing and I have been doing, and I feel that it is important at a young age, to every kid around me or whoever comes in contact with me and the parents. So that is the that way we can help, and someone else will teach to my kids when they need. So this is what is my reflection. Thank you for the beautiful insights. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. That same way, like Dr. Brahma also mentioned, why do we like that uh, for our own, and we have some, everybody has their own reason or values can we follow, but then when they question you, we have to say it in a way that they can take it. That is what, even for my grandkids, when I try to explain things, when you have the, like, looking at the milk, do you see yogurt, or that was something, but the yogurt comes from the milk. The same way, God is like, you cannot see, you can feel it, it's there. It just, you have to, so it is a little bit difficult to explain to them, in the sense for them to understand. There was one short, like a video short of how Swami Chinmayananda explaining how the kids are, how do you talk to them about that, like you said, that maybe that why do we do these things, may explain a little bit more, so it'd be good we can do it again ourselves, be nice.
So when this year, what Swamiji says is, when there is 80% of people who are following adharma and only 20% are following dharma, they will not be able to follow dharma because the majority are following adharma. So, like in Ramayana time, when the sadhus were doing their rituals, the demons would come and disrupt that. So there was a, collect, a collective prayer that went up, which becomes the punya for the birth of an avatara, the as though birth of an avatara. But as long as people, like Swamiji so beautifully says, as long as people who want to study the Gita, teachers who are teaching the Gita, are respected and are not stoned, which means that there is still dharma alive. So it is not yet time for an avatar.
But we all have to pray that the avatar in some way are going to come and to take care of all these problems in the sense
Yeah.
the war and other things, it's
But,
not
right,
ending.
I know. It is true.
Yeah.
No, but for me, I don't know about others. For me, when I look at Gurudev,
Mm.
for, he is an avatara himself.
True.
Like,
Yeah. Like
and
you said. Mhm.
if you look at the description of Kalki, Kalki is supposed to come on a white horse.
Right.
And if you look at Art of Living, how in the last 45 years, it has expanded and reached out to more than 180 countries. How can any organization do that, right? Unless the person who's doing it is divine and incarnate himself. It's inhumanly impossible. And it's not just one. See, if you look at all the other spiritual organizations, they are limited to, say, one particular thing. For example, Chinmaya Mission, all due respect, I mean, I've had my groups with Chinmaya Mission, and I still have a lot of value and respect, is that they stick only to Jnana Yoga, basically. There is a little element of ritualism also, but that is the only segment. They do not have yoga as much. So that aspect is, they give importance only to jnana. Whereas if you look at the art of living, there is, it is so widespread, the approach and the what do I say?
Like inclusive of all people, right? So they
Yeah,
have
it
to
reaches outreach
tailor
out
to their, how they
and
can.
everything in it. See, is it only knowledge? Is it only yoga? Is it only meditation? There's so much to do with culture and arts. You look at all the Guinness records that the art of living has under it, some 33 odd Guinness records, where uh,
Mm,
you know there have been um, mass like Mohiniyattam and then singing, Nadaswaram, all of this. So
mm,
what I'm saying is, and the World Culture Festival, that itself is an indication.
mm,
So if I look at it broad, when you look at, it's not good to compare, but what I'm saying is
mm,
the art of living has not left any stone unturned. No, no area of society, no section of society is left untouched.
mm. Right.
So for me,
Like you said, the other
is
mission
an avatara. Yeah.
or like not Vaidisala, sorry, Arsha Vidya Gurukulam, or all of them, like you
Mm,
said, like Ramana Maharishi, most of them are like only knowledge based.
mm,
They do include meditation. You straight to meditation, you can't, right? You have to do some amount of basic yoga to get there, to
yeah.
to make your
See,
mind to.
it's open to discussion and it's, I think, individualistic. But
Mm,
yeah, that's what I think.
yeah. I
So,
also agree. I mean, in the sense, like to reach out to a lot of people,
mm,
irrespective of where they come from, that is the inclusion. but some certain type of people, they only want certain kind of group of people in their whatever reason. So they didn't spread out so much. So that's why it was for a long time. It was within India, and then after Chinmaya, at least he brought it out, and some other yogis. But and with the art of living, it's even the other organization was up and down a little bit. But yeah.
Moreover, Gurudev gives techniques along, just not only, talk.
He
gives how to-
delegates a lot of things also, and
Yeah, he
but
tells
he
how
still keeping in touch with reaching out to all the devotees, all the disciples or followers. I was there, actually, thanks to Bernal, sent me that one time San Guru, he came to San Jose last year. I only came to know that evening only I could go, but I did go there. It was nice, to see him, and he came down in every lane and to greet everyone. So that was nice, like, so you don't see that with like every individual as a point, we want to touch Gurudev or get his blessing. I mean, it just so much, like we are attuned to that. But then when you learn and have this knowledge and that grace is there, and more we think about it, more it will happen. And he hears talk. So that's why I haven't seen him before, but a long time ago, in 2005, I did one program. That time I was sitting right in front of him in that time. Now, I didn't happen to do any program, but here, then just went to see him. Liz was nice.
So we'll continue tomorrow.
Yeah.
Krishna continues to talk about himself, his birth, and the truth. We'll do that tomorrow. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev. And thank you all for the lovely sharing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.